Late spring we had a windstorm came through and more or less broke a large limb off of one of the property line trees here. It came across and more or less busted some other limbs off this oak and then ended up down here. And I did a little firewood video on it earlier, and so you can take a look at that on the oak here. But I had a sweet gum here that has also died, and I want to try to go ahead and get it down. And I thought I might show a couple things here. First of all, taking information to be able to do this, and then also it has some back lean, so I'll show a little bit of plunge cut and also to line up on the sights of the saw. And then I'm going to try to place this up into this this limb here on this trunk, and we'll look at bucking that down as if it was a hanger in a storm situation. So about in this line up here, you can kind of see where that tree goes. We're going to try to lay it over into these limbs. From this position, about 2/3 of the tree will come into this limb, about 1/3 of it above it. And then I'm going to take and look at, I've got, if I take the center of what canopy limbs are left, we've got about 3.5, maybe 4 feet of side lean, which when I get to the tree will be to my left. So my good side of the tree will be towards the fence line. I can still get back far enough, no problem, to be able to get my escape route far enough, I think. But right now, side lean is definitely a good side to the left side from this focus. Looking here from this point, I'm roughly 90 degrees or parallel to where my face notch would be on this particular tree, lining it up to place it in those limbs to hang up. I've got about 2.5 feet of back lean on the tree. And if I look here at the base, I'm not quite sure what we have. It may be quite hollow. Sometimes sweet gum on a hillside like this is going to end up with some bad fiber in the middle. But I've got plenty of clearance if it goes with its lean. It may even hang up on this other smaller tree. I don't want to break it though. But that's what I plan to do at this point. So I've got all my PPE on. Hopefully you can be able to see what takes place here. But next thing, looking at the chainsaw, I've got this saw set up with the new STIHL HEXA chain. It's in 3/8 pitch, 63 gauge on a 20-inch bar on STIHL 362 with the M-tronic. So it's all set up to go. Now this chain is back about, I don't know, probably 50%, close to it, at least 30% back. And it's been rocked a couple times, resharpened, using it in some training classes. And so it's held up pretty well. We'll see how it cuts on this sweet gum. But the other thing about this chain, if you haven't seen my other videos, is it utilizes the hexa file, which is it's a hexagonal shape, has 4 filing positions or surfaces on it, and it kind of self-centers on the chain. So it stays in the gullet on a flat side. You have a line on the top for line up for your top angles, and the rest kind of takes care of itself. So we'll see how that cuts. I've got some back lean. I don't have a line in the tree. I do have a wedge here that we'll use. I've got my hammer, so we'll set that up for that particular situation. Now, if you're not aware, there's lines on the top of your saw here that can help you to be able to direction the tree. In this case, I'm going to aim this tree just to the left of the trunk, about the height here. So hopefully that holds in that position. I'm going to do the face notch first so we can look down into that top cut, make the bottom cut meet, hopefully in two cuts. And back here behind it, I can get a good vantage point on the line. Plus I'm cutting down at about 30 degrees off of a vertical. And then when I change positions, I'll come in level, and that opens up a face notch right at 70 degrees. So I'm using the open face technique for this particular tree. So let's get the face notch made, and then we'll look at it again. Haven't started the saw this morning. I'll go down. I use clamp start method. Pull through till it fires, let it warm. So the notch that I've taken out here, right at probably 80 degrees actually. So that should allow this tree to move all the way over, allowing that hinge to work. Now, I can tell the fiber is pretty dry, so it's going to be interesting to see if that hinge will hold, but hopefully it does. I'm going to use a plunge cut through the center of the tree. To do that, I need to think about the reactive forces of push, pull, kickback. This will be my starting corner. I'm going to take and start with that bottom side of the tip, rotate into it, the middle of the tree, come up to, and what I need on this tree is about a 12-inch. I'm going to leave an 1.25 inch hinge in this case on this tree. So hopefully that stays attached. I'm going to cut back till I have about 10% on the back, which is about 1.25 inches of fiber left there on the rear. And then I'll place my wedge, and then we'll cut that back strap off, drive the wedge to bring the tree over for the fall. So I've placed the wedge now. The weight's going back against the tree. Hopefully this hinge holds. Well, too dead in the top, that's for sure. But successfully in the right direction, but just didn't hang up for us. But neat thing about having a plan, we come back, reevaluate, see what worked, what didn't. In this case, what I did, I put the face notch in, I bored through the middle with the saw, I came up to about, let's see how close it is. right at an inch, inch and a quarter. And I cut back, leaving this little corner here, and placed the wedge. I came in and started to hit the hinge with it, so I had to turn just a little bit, drive it in the rest of the way. The tree went forward and pretty much went exactly where I had it aimed. But hitting the limb, it broke apart. One main reason why you want to be back from these things, because when that top hit the other tree, it folded back and debris starts coming back into your stump site. So you want to be very, very cautious. So anyway, we've got this one down. It doesn't create too much of a hazard for us for our cleanup process with the oak. And we'll also probably burn this one, most likely in the fire pit, but it's pretty dry. It may split and burn pretty good. Not quite sure that it's, I think it is sweet gum, but it might be an oak, but I believe it's sweet gum. So we'll see. Well, I was really hoping to kind of get 2 videos out of one on this one. Was hoping to be able to drop that tree into the other and show some techniques on getting the hanger down using notches and hinges. But it was a good video to kind of show some of the planning process and to be able to try to get the tree hinged in the right direction, even as dead as it was. I needed to get it down too, because I'm going to be working that area, getting up to the firewood. But I do want to kind of mention one thing. As you see, with a dead top like that, things are very brittle. So you want to really think about, and I see this quite often, that people start wedging before they have the hinge prepared, or bendable hinge. What I mean is that if you were to put a rope or you put a wedge in before you have the hinge thin enough to be a bendable hinge, every time you hit the wedge or you pull the rope, the top is going to shake. It can cause things to break out and fall. You saw one small twig kind of fell as I was driving the wedge, but because of my plan, I was on the good side of the tree too. That's another important thing. And all the limb and top structure was on the bad side, the opposite side. So I was never really in danger of anything falling there. If you don't have that hinge bendable, or you have a bypass in the face notch, let's say you had a 35 or 40 degree face notch, or a bypass there that's even less than that, as you start to pull or you start to drive it over with the wedge, that face notch closes, the top shakes, and the whole top could come back, break off and come back into the stump area. So you want to make sure that you have no resistance, free fall with no resistance from the face notch, a bypass, or the hinge being too thick. Very, very important when you're dealing with dead trees. And always remember PPE. A hard hat, is not going to necessarily keep you from getting hit, but it can sure make a difference in how much an injury sustained. So it's so important that you think through that. So anyway, I want to thank y'all for sitting in on this along the ForestApps road in a dead sweet gum tree. And I'll be looking for another tree on the property to try to set up something for a hanger presentation. But I haven't located it yet. Everything's too far apart to be able to do that. But I'm sure I'll come up with something here before long. Thanks for dropping by, and please subscribe. Tell your friends and neighbors, subscribe to our podcast series and our YouTube channel. And we love to have you come in and pick up something and pass along your comments so that we can be able to continue this going on. I feel it's some great training opportunities, and hopefully it helps someone along that ForestApps road. So until next time, good sawing.